What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Nerd Adventures Tower. We need to talk about the new leaks for Kenobi. Now, let's get a couple of things out of the way right away. First of all, yes, I have been talking a lot about the leaked ending for Kenobi and all the problems I have with the proposed ending of the show. But I think that a lot of the discourse, and especially like my sort of passion about why I really don't like that ending, has sort of overshadowed all of the awesome things that are in the leaks for the show. And I spent the last couple of days going over beat by beat a lot of the leaks on a per episode basis. A lot of this information is available and coming to us from makingstarwars.net. And in this video, I want to try to talk about why I'm still really hyped up for Kenobi. And there's some stuff in here that I think is going to be absolutely amazing. And then we will, of course, also talk about the ending of the show. And I'll try to be fair about the ending, because ultimately, I think even if the ending happens exactly the way that I see it going down in sort of like my worst fears, the show overall still seems freaking awesome. And if it's awesome enough, I might be able to look past that leaked ending and the things that I really don't like about it. So of course, spoiler warning, although I'm not going to go beat by beat and talk about every little thing that's going to happen in the show, but I'm going to generally talk about some things that are supposed to happen in the show that have me really freaking excited. So first up, I think the first episode is going to be awesome. I mean, there's supposed to be this opening with Order 66 and some younglings trying to escape Anakin and all of the 501st coming in there. And that's just freaking awesome. Something we've wanted to see in Star Wars for a long time. So that's going to excite many people. Then we, of course, go to Kenobi on Tatooine. Now, Obi-Wan is clearly going to be really going through a lot, right? He's going to be sad. He's going to be depressed. And we're going to see him at sort of a low point in episode 1. He's burying little trinkets in the sand. He's trying to reach out to his old master Qui-Gon, likely in reference to the training that Master Yoda had for him on Tatooine, but he can't connect to Qui-Gon. And generally speaking, it does feel like his force powers are diminished because he lacks hope and he's kind of down in the dumps. We're going to see some really cool stuff with Luke Skywalker, and we're also going to see stuff with young Leia. And I think the juxtaposition between these two characters, Luke kind of living this out of the middle of nowhere, sheltered, quiet life, and Leia living this kind of extravagant life inside of a palace, that's going to be a really interesting juxtaposition. And I like the idea that Leia is already heavily involved in like the rebellion and political things, and she's already got that snark and that sarcasm that we come to see from, of course, Princess Leia in A New Hope. And bam, we're off to the races pretty quick in episode 1, and you'll see a Jedi character, this Nari character we've been talking about, come to Tatooine seeking Obi-Wan, and then you'll see the Inquisitors arriving as they are hunting Nari down. And I think it's going to be fun, action-packed. It's going to be brutal with the Inquisitors cutting off different people's limbs and just being really, really dark. You're going to get some fun conversations between Kenobi and this young Jedi that sort of further give us a look at to where the mental state of Kenobi is actually at. And then you'll generally finish episode 1 with Bail Organa showing up and being like, yo, they have my daughter Leia, I'm gonna need your help, Kenobi. And then boom, we're off of Tatooine. And unless I'm mistaken, we don't actually come back to Tatooine until the end of the show, which is brilliant. Like, I've had enough of sand planets. I think we've all had enough of like Tatooine, Jakku, etc. So it's cool that the show's gonna go other places and then eventually circle back to Tatooine. Now from there, and especially in the second episode, we're gonna get a lot of like fun underground sort of bounty hunter-esque stuff going on in Kenobi. This seems to take place majorly on that Reno looking planet that we've seen in the trailers with all of the different neon signs and crazy buildings. And it seems like all that stuff's going to be super fun. You're going to see Kenobi in action. That seems really cool. You'll also see the Inquisitors there, and it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, this will be around the time when we enter Darth Vader, the character that we're all very excited to see in the show. And you'll see Vader in like a bacta tank and his eyes open probably at the end of episode 2, where he feels a disturbance in the Force. And it seems like episode 3 is going to be heavy on the Darth Vader and also the Inquisitors. We're said to get a scene where Vader's getting his mechanical suit put together. That's crazy brutal. There's said to be a lot of scenes with Vader talking to the other Inquisitors, and they seem to have Leia as a prisoner. And it seems like from this point, Kenobi and some of the new people that he's sort of hanging around with are going to be sneaking into the underground water base of the Inquisitors to rescue Princess Leia. And this will be when we get the first fight with Kenobi and Vader, and this is going to be full of so much different emotion. I think Kenobi's going to be horrified and shocked at what he sees that the Empire has done to Anakin, and they are going to fight. And I believe in this moment, Vader is going to go absolutely crazy. He's going to clearly win the fight, and he's going to badly injure Obi-Wan, burning him and maybe even doing more. And it sounds like that is all going to be awesome. And somehow Leia is going to escape with Kenobi and some of these other people that they're hanging out with, and they're going to go to the planet of Jabim. And this episode and the things that are going to be here just sound freaking awesome to me. I mean, first of all, you're going to get a lot of Saw Gerrera type characters, partisans, and building up the lore of why and how those characters are defining the Empire, or defying the Empire, rather. You're going to get the knowledge of these Force sensitives that they are protecting there, and there's said to even be an open field battle with the Inquisitors, Vader, and Purge Troopers all tracking them down on Jabim and going there to fight. Now, also tied into this is going to be Kenobi sort of gaining the idea of hope. He's going to notice and see all of these different Force sensitives. He's going to see the hope and the focus and determination of these different characters that are trying to defy the Empire, and he may even finally be able to communicate with Qui-Gon in those moments. I'm not super clear on that, but nonetheless, it sounds freaking awesome. I'm so excited to see that kind of side of canon out there. I absolutely love the idea of the Empire descending upon them, Vader battling possibly out in the open field in some kind of crazy war with Purge Troopers, with the Inquisitors, Kenobi getting in on the action, Kamal Nanjiani possibly handing out lightsabers and kyber crystals to these other Force sensitives, a ton of lightsabers fighting on Jabim as well. Like, it sounds freaking mind-blowing. There's a lot of tension and building in this sort of final part of the series, and it's going to lead to a scenario where Obi-Wan leaves Jabim to actually take Vader off of the planet to try to help and save the people that are there. And then there's going to be a round 2 of the Kenobi and Vader fight on one of the moons of Mustafar. And I expect this fight to be absolutely amazing. And somehow or some way, Kenobi's going to come out on top. Not a lot of details on that, which is fine by me because I can't wait to experience it in the show. And of course, after this fight with Obi-Wan having bested Vader somehow, some way, he does go back to Tatooine, and that's where the leaked ending is going to happen with Reva, not Reva, sorry, I've been saying that wrong this whole time, but with Reva having found Owen and Beru and Luke. She's got the red lightsaber out. She's ready and willing to cut Luke Skywalker and end the progeny of Anakin Skywalker. Reva at this point has put together slowly throughout the show that Leia and Luke are the children of Anakin Skywalker. Like, that's kind of something she figures out. And actually, the details throughout the leaks of how she figures this out actually do make a lot of sense. So it's well done in that regard. But I continue to have a lot of problems with the way this scene is at least described in the leaks. I really don't like the idea of her having a red lightsaber in front of Luke Skywalker, of this big traumatic event happening with Obi-Wan there. It just really puts into question a lot of the lines from A New Hope. I don't feel like it's well handled, and I especially don't like the idea of Obi-Wan allowing Reva to just leave with the knowledge of the Skywalker twins and the progeny of Anakin. I just really don't like that. Now, having said that, there are ways that this could go down. Maybe we're missing some dialogue, some context, something in those moments that will make it a little bit more okay for me. But I still really don't like that ending. However, I've thought a lot about this. I understand and I realize that my coverage of this and the way I've been talking about this has set a weird sort of vibe out there for a lot of Star Wars fans. And a lot of Star Wars fans are like, whoa, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm really cautious and worried about this leak. I don't like what's going on. And oh man, if they screw up Kenobi, it's a big, big deal. I absolutely think if they screw up Kenobi, it's a massive deal, and it'll be a big, big problem for the fandom. However, a lot of channels and people out there are talking about this concept of like bait and switch, and the idea that the show's not actually about Obi-Wan. That's absolutely not the case. The show is about Obi-Wan. It's about Obi-Wan, and Reva's character is an allegory for a lot of the things that are going on in the galaxy. And it sort of allows this endpoint moment for the hope that Kenobi has and the light side of the Force to ultimately claim a victory from the jaws of defeat with, from Vader, the Empire, and all of that evil stuff. So ultimately, there's a couple of different things I want to say to Star Wars fans that are watching this video, that are following the leaks, and that are wondering what to make of Kenobi. Number one, no leak ever can replace watching the show. We must let the show happen, and we have to judge the show as the show. We can't judge the leaks and bring that pretense to the show and allow the feelings we had about the leaks to sort of cloud how we view the show. Not everybody can do that, but I try to do my best at that, and this does remind me of the Endgame leaks. There were very accurate Endgame leaks on Reddit months before the movie came out, and a lot of people thought it was absolutely ridiculous and that there was no way they would be able to enjoy those leaks. And I was one of those people. I was like, Professor Hulk sounds ridiculous. Fat Thor sounds ridiculous. A lot of these concepts and ideas that they were doing sound ridiculous, but upon execution, they mostly work for me, and I loved the Endgame movie. And again, it's not like the show is a total bait and switch. It's definitely not like the show is bad. It seems like there's a ton of fun stuff, and a lot of care was given to these different characters in the show. But I do still feel that on paper, this ending is bad, and it will cause a lot of conflict within the Star Wars fandom. But until we actually see the ending and see how it hits with different fans, we won't know that for sure. My personal hope is that even if the worst case scenario of this leak is true, that there'll be so much fun stuff that happens in the show that I will still feel satisfied as a Star Wars fan. I won't feel like canon is broken. I won't have lost faith in Lucasfilm completely, and that's just kind of the best I can do. So I'm trying to calibrate my expectations. I'm trying to latch on to the excitement of the things that are said to be happening in the show, and I'm trying to withhold judgment of that ending until I see it. But I will say this as well: if the ending is even worse than I imagine it, I'm going to crap all over it. And I still believe that regardless of how this shakes out, it was too close to canon. They should not have done this. And if the Star Wars fandom reacts very negatively about this, Lucasfilm has nobody to blame but themselves. They should have just kept that part a little bit off the table. They shouldn't have gone that far, and they shouldn't have played it that fast and loose with the canon. So there you have it. I'm still hyped up for Kenobi. A little bit cautious, especially about that ending, but I am hyped up. I know you probably got some thoughts, so why don't you let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below.